Did you just rob the underwear drawer at my house? So this is...
This is the original Superman 1 costume worn by Christopher Reeve.
Is this like a weird thing you wear on the weekends?
I outgrew it. I am here at the pawn shop today to sell a Superman 1, the original costume. Bought this at an auction about 4.5 years ago. Looking to sell the costume to reinvest in other pieces, kind of expand the collection that I have. Probably going to get more into college football and maybe international soccer, some key pieces I have my eyes on.
I think it's pretty amazing.
I mean, it's definitely iconic. The original Superman.
This is the
No, it's not the original Superman. The original Superman was on TV in the 50s.
This is the original Superman.
No, it's not.
It's the original Superman.
Superman movie, but there was a Superman TV show.
Movies like this were cool. It wasn't like they had CGI, so they had to create all this stuff. Christopher Reeves had to put on all the muscle. They didn't use a padded suit at all. He put on, like, I think 20 pounds of muscle for the movie.
Damn. Okay, I could do that.
Sure, I can tell. They started with a $20 million budget and ended up at 70.
I think the movie made money, right?
Well, it made enough money for them to do, like, 5 sequels of it.
It's still, I guess, a good movie. Would you watch it again? How many times have you seen the movie?
Don't worry about it.
It's Superman, and it's really iconic. It really is. Do you know how many suits there was in the movie?
This
Was there
is the
more than one, or-
original. This is the only one. So
I'm just assuming there was a costume change, all right? Because if you're filming 7 days a week, long hours, and there's not no time to wash this thing, it would get really funky, all right? So I'm assuming there was more than one.
So what else you got in the box?
well, we have the green crystal here.
Is that Kryptonite?
That is Kryptonite.
That is not the Kryptonite crystal. That's the crystal that created the Fortress of Solitude. If it was Kryptonite, they couldn't have put it in his little baby spaceship. He actually used that kind of like a computer, and it created the Fortress of Solitude for him. They got it labeled wrong.
Okay. You know way too much about this.
Whatever, you know way too much about batteries.
Okay, so how much do you want for all this?
$300,000 for both.
It's quite a bit of money.
Do you mind if I call someone in?
No, no problem at all.
Okay. Can you throw up the tall Rob signal?
That's Batman, dude. Calm down.
I guess we're bringing an expert in, and I have no problem with that because it's authentic.
Hey, there's my pajamas.
Wow. That is definitely wow factor.
And he also has a crystal that built the...
Fortress of Solitude.
It's a great piece and perfect to go along with this suit. So let's talk about the suit.
As far as he knows, there's only one, and I'm just thinking, like, there's got to be more, because what if he's on set and he's eating a hot dog and he drips mustard down the front of it? They can't just stop production.
That's correct. So one of the rules of Hollywood memorabilia, certainly costumes, is they never just make one. I wouldn't touch this suit with my hands. Hands have a lot of oils and a lot of dirt on them. So how do we identify it? Chain of ownership. How did it end up in your possession?
Purchased it from an auction about 4.5 years ago.
Okay, and that makes sense because that's the last one I saw come to auction was about 4 years ago. And interestingly enough, you're the buyer. That's great. The material's absolutely right for 1978. It's a stretch nylon. Second clue we look for is a prop number. So when I do come across a piece that doesn't have that, it questions its authenticity immediately. I'm gonna carefully lift this up. We have a sewn-on label that says C. Reeve and a prop number and a studio number. So that's an excellent sign, Rick.
So you think it's all legit?
I think it's legit.
So what do you think it would be sold at auction for?
With that piece, I think at auction, you're looking at a significant value in excess of $250,000.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
My pleasure. Thank you. Wonderful piece. Superman is an iconic figure around the world. There'll be many bidders on this item at an auction.
Rob said I can expect to get right around $250,000. Just get down to brass tacks. I'd give you 200 grand for it.
Best price on this is $250,000.
At 200 grand, I won't lose money. And like Rob said, I think it's a great investment, but investments go up and down, and I've seen it happen a million times.
It's authentic, and I have the paperwork for it.
I understand that, but it's not a perfect world. There's nothing is for sure besides death and taxes. So I'll do 200 grand. Remember, that's cash now.
Right.
And you're over with it. You don't have to worry about walking outside and tripping and getting a hole in it or getting radiation poisoning from the kryptonite.
It's not kryptonite.
I'll do 200 grand.
Yeah, I'm firm on the $250,000.
If you change your mind, let me know.
Take it easy, man.
I'll get
See
Dex
ya.
to help you
Thanks.
carry it out.
All right, thank you.
Let's go grab something to eat, Lex.
If I have to hold off for a little bit, I'm willing to do that. And I'm confident I get the price that I'm looking for because I know the right buyer's out there.
Hey, so exactly what is this? We know it's Spider-Man, but
That's a life-size limited edition from Blockbuster.
okay. I thought my spidey sense was tingling a little bit.
I'm here at the pawn shop today to sell my limited edition life-size Spider-Man. This was a display used in Blockbuster stores. I picked it up a few years back. I love the fact that it's life-size. It's about 5.5 feet tall, and it's actually a pretty good replica. I was looking to get like $1,500 for it. I've seen a few of them selling for that price.
I think it's super cool. This was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It was the first movie that did over 100 million in its opening weekend. And it just turned into a massive franchise. Do you know where it originated or anything like that?
I guess they came out of Blockbuster.
Okay. I mean, you know, they would put this inside a Blockbuster. It's a promotional item. You know, you'd have little kids come in there and they'd see this. You know, let's rent Spider-Man, let's rent Spider-Man. And then they probably sold them or, you know, they gave them away in contests and stuff like that. But we all know what eventually ended up happening at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
In 2000, the CEO of Blockbuster turned down buying Netflix for $50 million. And 20 years later, Blockbuster is bankrupt and Netflix is worth $140 billion.
That was a poor decision.
And it's in relatively decent shape for being almost 20 years old. This rubbery stuff, you can tell that it's getting old.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
And you said it was a limited edition?
Yes, yeah, number 2780 out of, I think, 4,600.
Okay. I love it when they say 4,600 is a limited edition. Now, how much do you want for this thing?
I was thinking about 1,500.
I bet you would. Okay. I'll give you $500 for it.
500.
It's cool and everything like that, but it's not that limited edition, okay? There's probably a lot of them out there. There's a little bit of damage.
Come on, work with me. Just maybe $600.
$550.
575.
$550.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, sweet. So just cruise right over there to the pawn counter. We'll do some paperwork. I'll get you paid.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Yep. I'm just your friendly neighborhood pawnbroker. Hello.
Hello. I brought in my official Batman utility belt from 1966.
Pretty amazing. Where did you get this?
Obviously Bruce Wayne, you idiot.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my Batman utility belt from 1966. I got the belt in the 70s at an antique mall. I'm looking to get $17,000 for my belt. If I sell my belt, I'm gonna buy a new car. I really need a new car.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Batman has been a pretty amazing brand since the 1930s because there's everything from the cartoons to the comic books to the movies, and it never seems to end. The TV show came out in 1966. It was really, really fun. It was cheesy. People watched it with their kids. It was one of those shows that sort of rocketed straight to the top and went straight back down. So it was only on for 3 seasons. But Burt Ward and Adam West made entire careers just because they did this for 3 years.
Right.
I mean, I watched the reruns when I was a kid and I loved it. And I think it was mostly because of the Batman utility belt. See, we have the Batarang there, the Bat Cuffs, the Bat Gun, the Bat Rocket Grenade.
It's all there.
I just find it amazing. Do you like Batman?
Yeah, he's not the best superhero, but he's all right.
What's your favorite superhero?
The greatest superhero of all time, Superman.
I'm not with you on Superman.
Superman is what Batman pays millions of dollars to be, and guess what? Superman was born that way.
Batman, all he needs is a little kryptonite, and Superman's nothing. So what do you want for this?
17,000.
Holy something, that's a lot of money.
G. Willikers is the proper terminology.
G. Willikers?
Yeah.
All right. My toy guy is just 1 block away. I'm gonna give him a call, and we'll get it figured out from there.
That sounds good.
Well, I'll be right back. Batman, way better than Superman, hands down.
I'm not saying that Batman's not cool. I'm just saying Superman's better. Batman's like a super cop at best.
Super cop.
Yeah.
Batman was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, he's pretty cool, but he's not a better superhero than Superman.
I mean, Superman kind of was the reason that the Batman show even got made. The Superman show was running more for like little kids, and they decided to do this Batman show, which was geared towards teenagers, but it fell back to little kids.
So, the Batman utility belt.
This thing is amazing. Can I take a look at it?
Yes.
I would have been so cool when I was 6 years old if I had this.
I'll tell you what, to Batman collectors, guys, this is the holy grail. It was a toy, so it wasn't necessarily meant to hold up. And a lot of these didn't, because what happened is you opened it up on the way out the store, you ripped the belt out of the box, you put it on before you even got in the car. But this is in incredible shape. It has not been removed, it has not been played with, there's no stress marks on it. The only one thing that I see here is there's a little bit of paper tear right there off the box.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But the thing is, she is asking $17,000 for this.
I've seen the belts just by themselves, the most common pieces to find, sell for thousands of dollars. In the case of this, I think you've got an absolutely great piece. You have tons of Batman collectors, tons of superhero collectors, so you can't miss on the market. I think you have no problem getting $16,000 for this.
Yes.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, amazing. Chum,
All right.
have a good one. This thing is incredible. All of the toys are immaculate. Everything pops. So I think the shop's gonna have no problem getting $16,000 for this.
I'll give you 10 grand for it.
Oh, no. I would consider 15,000. You'd still make $1,000.
No, I wouldn't make any money. If I worked on margins like that, I would be out of business. I will give you $11,000.
12,000.
No.
1150.
No. $11,000. Anything more than that, it's not going to make any sense to me.
Okay.
All right, deal. Sweet. Chum will meet you right over there and do some paperwork with you and get you paid.
I'll take this with
no,
me.
don't touch. You're not going to touch it.
It's not gonna fit you. It's just 32 waist.
I got a couple of vintage comic books for you. First one here is Avengers #1. That's what started the movie craze that you know today. And then over here, we've got a giant-size X-Men #1.
Yeah, and what happened with the X-Men is just all the movies. I mean, I think there's been like 7 of them, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, and the Avengers came out a few years ago, and my 11-year-old son literally told me the Avengers was the greatest movie ever made.
There you go. So I came down to the pawn shop today to sell my Avengers #1 and giant-size X-Men #1 comic books. Yeah, comic books, I think it's the sense of nostalgia and freedom, a time of innocence, plus all those bright colors. I mean, who could resist that? On the giant-size X-Men one, I'm asking $1,200. On the Avengers one, I'm asking for $4,600. The least I would take is $3,300.
Where did you get these?
Well, this actually came from an original owner collection out in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
This one actually came by way of a trade for some original art.
Okay, cool. And so Stan Lee did the story in this one, right?
Yeah, he formed a lot of the groups, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers. Those were all his ideas.
Yeah, it's comic books are a little weird. People see like the #1 sitting right here, and they'll think it's the first X-Men, but it's not.
That's correct.
Because you'll have like a #1 Amazing Spider-Man, a #1 Spectacular Spider-Man, but this is definitely the first Avengers that ever took place.
That's exactly right. And you know, back to this one too. I mean, that's the new X-Men lineup. Wolverine and a lot of the characters that are known today. The rest, as they say, is history. It's an extremely popular franchise.
Vintage comic books can be worth a lot of money, and these have the vibe of something special. But comic book collecting can be really tricky, so you have to be really careful when you're dealing with stuff like this because you can get burned. And what grade are you calling these?
This one's, I believe, is a fine plus to a very fine, between a 6.5 and a 7.0. It presents in near mint condition. And this one's in the same range, maybe slightly better. I think this is a fine, very fine, maybe a 7.0 to 7.5 right in there.
Okay. How much you want for them?
Well, this one, I'm looking for $4,600.
Okay.
And on the giant size X-Men, $1,200.
All right. You can grade them at one thing, and I can grade them at another thing, and all that means nothing in the real world because you got to have a real grading company grade them. I have a friend that works for CGC.
Okay.
Let me have him grade them because It makes a world of difference what they're graded at.
100% agreed.
Let me go give him a call. I'll get him down here, and he will look at him. Okay?
Sounds great.
All right, hang out for a little bit.
Right up. Thank you. As far as CGC coming in and checking out my books, I would welcome it because I think it's going to validate the grades that I assign to the books.
Like I said on the phone, Avengers #1.
Wow, man.
And the giant-size X-Men. I know this one's cool, but this one's really cool.
Yeah, Giant Size X-Men 1, 1975, has some of my favorite first appearances. Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, some dude named Wolverine, it's his second appearance. Some people have heard of him. But man, in Avengers 1, that's a thing of beauty. This came out in September 1963. Marvel had gone through some tough times, and with Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, they were really starting to have a rebirth with superheroes. And Avengers 1 just took all of these characters that had their own books and brought them all together as a superhero team. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought all of their popular characters together because Daredevil 1 was actually supposed to ship that month, but Bill Everett was late on his layouts. So real quick, they concocted the Avengers with their existing characters, boom, put it out, and now it's a billion-dollar franchise.
He wants to sell them to me, and I don't know what the grade's gonna come out. The front of it looks nice, but...
Yeah, the front cover looks beautiful. What I need to do is take them back. I need to count the pages, check for restoration, you know, and then I just count the defects in my head and, you know, a magic grade spits out my mouth.
That's the science of it?
Yeah. That's the science of it.
Okay, you want me to show you where the conference room's at?
Yeah, sure, that sounds great.
You got it. I'm really excited to find out what these comic books are worth, and hopefully we'll have some good news.
All right.
So it turns out they're rare misprints and they're worth billions of dollars, right?
Actually, these are really beautiful books.
So, what grade are they?
Let me start with the Giant Size X-Men 1. The colors are great. There are a few imperfections, a couple of creases.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a 7.5. So that would put it at around $550, $600.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. The Avengers 1 is beautiful. There's a little bit of chipping up here. But the main issue I felt was the tanning. The cover's pretty tan. The interior pages are a little cream.
Okay.
I probably would land on 6.5. I'm thinking 4,000, 4,200, somewhere around there.
It's a little light, but, you know, you're not out of the zip code anyway.
Sorry if he didn't agree with you.
We're close, but I'm looking for 4,600. The color strike on this one in particular.
Okay, he works for CGC.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion don't count.
I'm out of it. I gave you the grades. This is
Okay.
up to you, man.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Hey, thanks for looking
Take
at
care.
it.
You got it. We have no vested interest in the comic. It doesn't matter to me if Rick buys it or not.
All right, so what's your best price on these?
You know, this one, I don't know if we're gonna get there. I need 900 out of that. I mean, this one, I would do 3,800.
Okay. I think we're way out of the ballpark on that one. So this one's worth around 4,000 bucks. Let me have it for 2,900.
I would like $3,800.
I mean, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 3,200 bucks because if I hold on to it and the next movie does well, I should be able to do well with it. It's more than a fair offer.
Well, I appreciate it, but that leaves open the obvious. Let's meet in the middle at 3,500.
No, it doesn't.
No.
I go 3,200 bucks on it. I mean, that's more than fair. I'm gambling on this next movie being big.
Tell you what, if you come up to 3,300, you got a deal, but I can't go any lower than
No,
that.
3,200 bucks is what I can do. You know, it's anything more just doesn't make sense.
I mean, you're gonna let 100 bucks get in the middle of this deal?
I'm not letting 100 bucks get in the middle of this deal. You are.
I already came down twice. I mean,
I mean, it's the best I could do. It really is. I barely feel comfortable at 32, much less 33. So if you can do the 32, we got a deal.
all right. Well, I appreciate the offer, but I just can't get there.
Okay.
Thanks so
Have
much.
a good one, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot.
Change your mind. You know where I'm at.
Okay. I think he could have sold that book at the 4 to 4,200 range, and I really don't think it would have been in the shop long. So, yeah, I think he missed one on this deal.
Oh, what do we got here?
We have a very rare piece of original comic book art.
Comic book art.
Yep, it's before production, obviously. This is what the artist submits to the comic book.
It looks pretty cool. It's got Batman, Spider-Man, and the Joker.
And the Batmobile. It's very rare because Spider-Man and Batman, those are from two competing companies. We don't typically ever see them in the same comic book.
Okay. Do we got a year by chance?
It was in 1996.
That was right when Batman got bad.
Yeah, that was Val Kilmer.
It's a collaboration between Marvel and DC Comics. The piece doesn't yet have text, so it's unclear exactly what's going on in the piece, but it has a ton of iconic imagery in the comic book world. I'm asking $1,200, and the least that I'm willing to take is $500.
Why do you think Batman would team up with a bum like Spider-Man?
At least Spider-Man actually has some kind of power. Batman just is a rich guy that works out and has cool little toys.
Billion-dollar playboy. That sounds so nice.
I mean, it's definitely cool. Where'd you get it?
I got it on an online auction site probably about 15 years ago.
Okay. So originally, was it a Spider-Man comic or was it a Batman comic?
It was actually a collaboration between both.
Okay, so both companies put out the same comic book?
I believe that is correct.
Okay. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, during this era, Marvel was broke. DC, on the other hand, had made a lot of money licensing out Batman to Warner Brothers. So for them to do a collaboration like this, it only benefited Marvel, and it might have been some kind of rumor DC was talking about buying Marvel at the time.
Right.
It's definitely rare, and this is kind of during the resurgence of comic books. They had died for a long time, and then all of a sudden, about 2 or 3 years before this, Superman died.
Right.
And, you know, it kind of started a whole new generation of kids buying comic books.
Right, exactly.
Batman and Spider-Man are two of the most iconic superheroes of all time. The fact that both of them cross paths in this comic is super cool. I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there just dying to get their hands on some original artwork. I've never heard of this one. I mean, what are you looking to do with it?
Well, I'm thinking about selling it.
Any idea of what you're looking to get out of it?
I think that $1,200 is a fair price.
1,200? Yeah, buddy, I have no idea, to be honest with you, what the thing's worth. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on here.
You want me to go call in Johnny?
Nah, man, this is more of like an art thing. Call up Brett.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'll give Brett a call.
All right, man, hang out. I'll be right back, all right?
Thank you. I'm pretty confident that the piece is authentic, so I believe that it will only increase the value of the piece to have an expert actually look at it.
All right, this is what you called me down here for.
A little different than fine art.
Yeah, we've got, what is this, a vintage comic book rendering?
Yeah, the original art for a collaboration between DC and Marvel Comics.
Okay, yeah, you don't see Batman and Spider-Man teaming up too much. It was a little like the old golden age of Hollywood. You'd have like stars that were under contract with like MGM or Universal, and there's no way they could ever go make a picture for a competing studio.
Exactly.
It was kind of like that with Marvel and DC.
Very
They were
much.
completely autonomous.
Yep.
But yeah, this is pretty cool. Do you know the specifics on this, who the artist was?
Yeah, it was an artist by the name of Mark Bagley, who's known as one of the top 10 Spider-Man artists in the world.
I don't know as much about comic book artists as I do, you know, a lot of fine artists, but I do know that he's very well respected and revered in the comic book art world. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think he worked for both companies for a time.
Correct.
He was the perfect choice. Comic book art has really taken off recently. There's a real interest in superheroes in today's day and age, so people are really into the particular stylings of these various artists. Mark Bagley, it is difficult to find his work out there because most of it is owned by Marvel or DC or the production company he did the work for. So this is kind of an unusual work for me.
So, is it real and what's it worth?
Okay, you know, I'm not an expert on comic books, but I do know the process, and I know this is something that the artist would submit for colorization, and obviously before the copywriters put in the text and all of that, I'm sure there's some kabooms or kapows and things like that. I mean, it's clear that the ink and the blue lines here, the lining has been laid on the paper, and you've got some telltale signs up here in terms of how it was published. You've got all the notations you'd want to see. You know, it's definitely real. I think from a value standpoint, you kind of evaluate it the same way you would a fine art piece, like a painting. You look at it from a quality of composition standpoint. You look for iconic imagery, and this really does have a lot going for it. Obviously, you got two iconic superheroes in Batman and Spider-Man together, which is really unusual. You've got one of the biggest villains of all time in the Joker. I think you've got a one of a kind. So I think to the right collector, you're probably looking $1,500 plus, maybe $2,000.
Okay. Well, Brett, man, you're the best, dude.
Hey,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. Thanks, chum. It is unusual to see an actual production rendering because it was never intended to be actually out on the market. So to have, a memento or a keepsake from such a famous partnership is pretty cool.
All right, my man. The guy's telling me 1,500, maybe on a good day, 2,000 out of it. I'd offer you around 800 bucks.
800? Don't beat me up that bad. If it's worth 15, maybe 2,000, I think 1,200 is a fair price.
Unfortunately, I'm investing my money in a page out of a Spider-Man Batman comic book and not a really nice mutual fund. I'm gonna put that kind of money out on it. I'm gonna want a good return and go 900. I want to make a little bit more money than that.
Fair, I'd take 1,000.
All right, man, I'll do 1,000.
Thank you.
Show me, you wanna write them up?
Yep. Come on, let's go here.
I think 1,000 is fair. In an ideal market, two serious geeks went at it. Could see it going for more, but I feel it's a fair price.
Awesome.
Came to offer you an opportunity of a lifetime here. I'm going into the pawn shop today to try to sell my life-size Power Ranger. I found it next to a dumpster. I was driving home one night. I thought it was a person. And after checking it out for a while, I could tell that it wasn't, so I went and looked at it, and it turned out to be this Power Ranger.
So what can you tell me about this thing, man?
Well, he's a life-size Power Ranger. He's about 5'8". I think he's made out of fiberglass, and his head comes off.
That's pretty cool. You ever throw him in the car and ride in the carpool lane?
Actually, on the way here.
John, you remember what the Red Power Ranger's name was?
I didn't watch Power Rangers.
You had all the toys and everything. You had the Halloween costume.
So what kind of condition did you find this thing in?
I was pretty beat up, and so I repainted the entire thing red and touched up the gold on the face and the black and the smile. And the coolest part is I put a phone charger in.
Why'd you put a cell phone in it?
Well, it had a hole in its chest, and so I figured it'd be pretty cool to have a phone charger in there.
I don't think it's cool at all. This thing is honestly ridiculous. I mean, I almost want to buy it just to see what my father would say.
So what are you looking to get out of it?
I was hoping $150.
What do you think, Big Loss?
I just don't see it, dude.
It does have the cell phone, though, you know.
I've been working in this place since I was 9 years old, and never once have I had someone walk through the door and say, I need a life-size Red Power Ranger.
You don't think you need it until you see it, though.
I'm sorry, man. It's just not for me. It's just not the right fit for the shop.
I don't know.
Have a good day.
Hey, I can't believe we couldn't make a deal. This Power Ranger's so cool. I'm sure I can sell it online for $150.
Good morning.
What do you have here?
Well, I have this limited edition Chiclet featuring Superman and Batman.
This is pretty cool. I mean, when you think of superheroes, you think of Batman and Superman. What do you like more, though?
Batman.
You know, all you have to do is take away his money, and he's no longer Batman.
Well, I see your point, but if you help me pony up a couple of $1 billion and I can get into shape, we can do this Batman thing.
Not to offend you, but it would probably be easier to get you a couple $1 billion than to get you in Batman shape.
I think at my age, sure. I'm here to sell a Chiclet, which is a high-end lithograph by two of America's most popular comic book artists, Alex Ross and Jim Lee. I'd like to get $1,500 for it.
This is pretty cool, man. Two very iconic artists. Jim Lee would have penciled it down and Alex Ross would have painted it. Jim Lee started out from college, worked at Marvel, left to develop his own company, and then DC bought him out. Then you got Alex Ross. People collect comic books with cover art by Alex Ross because he was such a great artist. Let me take a look at the condition here. I noticed a lot of cracking, and this usually signifies water damage or even sun damage. Let me lay it down here. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Not to say that it's completely worthless because of that, but there is some damage on it. So, how much are you looking to get?
$1,500. They only made 100 of these, and this is number 69.
The damage is there, and it is pretty significant. Probably does cut about a third to a half off of the price. Would you take $500 for it?
I would go $1,000.
You know, I can't do it for $1,000. I still would like to buy it though. I'm thinking I could come up to a 7.
Can we just split the difference at 800, call it a day?
I think I could push it to 750, but we're gonna wanna get this varnished and we're gonna wanna have a museum quality glass over this to prevent further damage. I think 750 is gonna be maximum that I can pay for this.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, we got a deal.
Right.
Come on up here, we'll write it up. You can leave it right there.
All right. Well, we land on 750. I guess that's okay. Batman's gonna have to give me some kind of a discount on outfits if I want to use 750 to get any closer to my dream.